Hey there, I have a question here from a trader. He's asking about a kangaroo tail. So let me show you what it looks like. Actually, it's hard to see on this, so I'm going to switch over to a different colored chart, but I want to show you what he sent me. So he sent me this, excuse me, this Euro 1 hour chart, and it went up here and it printed a kangaroo tail. And the question he had was, why did I get stopped out? I'm sorry to laugh, but we've all been there, right? So let's talk about what's going on here and why this is not a good setup. Okay, so this was the other day. So I think the candle that he was looking at was right here. All right. So that's the candle he's looking at. So we don't know anything that happens to the right here. Okay. We just see this. All right. So at this stage, we just see this right here. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that we want to make sure that this is on a zone. And we saw that the market came up to this level, printed a kangaroo tail before, fell a bit, then came back up again, and couldn't quite get high enough. In other words, this is what we would call a moolah top, especially after this candle or this candle. You'd have to say, yeah. And it did go down from there. It didn't go all the way down to there, but it did go down. Now, when it came up here, this was a very different move because whereas when it came up here, kind of slowed down a bit. So this is a bit of a retracement move or counter trend move. And then it trended up again. It petered out with this long tail, right? Now this candle, the kangaroo tail itself is actually bigger in range. It's got about 21, almost 22 pips. That's a bigger range than the previous candle here, which was about 14 pips. So 20, 21, 14. So that's thing number one. Now let's compare that to this one over here. You can see over here what we had was a giant bullish move of 46 pips. And then we had a little teeny tiny kangaroo tail of 19 pips. So that is a big difference. If I see a move like this, what I would be looking for is a counter move after the candle in the middle. And I'd want to see a candle about the same size as this one. That would be a reversal signal for me. That's called a U-turn. See if I can find one for you. What you really want with the U-turn is a move up and then a neutral candle like that. Could be a kangaroo tail or a little tiny one or whatever, but you don't really want to see much of a body on it. And then you would see a candle back down, which we didn't see here. We saw a kangaroo tail right there, but that's the kind of move that I'd be looking for if I was trying to sell, get in on a sell after a huge bullish candle like we saw. Typically, what you see when you get these big bullish candles, let's say that this was a kangaroo tail right here, then this is what you normally see. You see kind of maybe a little bit of a retrace, and then boing, it goes again. So I would not trade those candles that are little tiny kangaroo tails at the end of a giant bullish candle. This candle here is the clue. And the other thing is, you probably would want to make sure that you're on a really strong zone. I don't know that this is a strong zone. Looks pretty good. Doesn't look too bad at all. A better place to sell would probably be up here. But this is pretty good. Pretty solid place. I can see why you would put a support and resistance zone here. But normally, if you're watching a trending market and you see a giant bullish candle and then a little tiny candle at the top of it, whether it's a kangaroo tail or not, that's usually trend continuation, which is what we have right here. In fact, so this is what I'm talking about. So let's say that you wanted to buy here on the Swissy. First of all, we know that on the Swissy, 77% of our traders are currently long the Swissy. So this is a downtrend. That means this is going to go lower, right? But let's say we didn't even pay attention to open position ratios. If you see this kangaroo tail right here, you think, okay, it's going to go up. I don't think so. I think at best, you might get up into these lows here. So it might be worth, 20, 30 pips from where it is right now. And that's probably about all you'll see before it'll come right back down here and possibly even break through the low. So this is very similar to the Euro 1 hour chart that we were looking at earlier that trader had sent through. And this is not one that I would trade. So the important thing I think to point out here is that, you know, the context is key. If you're trying to take a reversal, kangaroo tail reversal, and your kangaroo tail is not very big, you better see some slowing of momentum going into it, like we had here. This is a big bullish candle, right? But then look at this one. We closed at about the midpoint, maybe slightly above the midpoint, and then we get a neutral candle, and then we get the kangaroo tail. That's a very different story to the one that we saw on the 1 hour euro, where it was just hanging up there at the top of the big bullish candle. So this is more of what I would be looking for here. We even saw the same thing coming down here. You saw these candles started to slow down, and then you saw that was quite bearish. And that was quite bearish as well. But then, boom, you totally reverse it with a huge, massive bullish trending kangaroo tail, and the next candle even closes higher. So, or not trending kangaroo tail, but a big shadow, sorry. And then it closes higher. So that's the kind of move we want to see when we take a reversal. We want to start to see wicks. We want to start to see the market slowing down. Here you go. Here's your wicks showing up. Wiki. Shaved off the top of that little tiny candle, and boom, kangaroo tail. That's what we want to see here. Though, and then this is a lower top. If you miss this one, you get a lower top here for your double top, and then finally, by the time this candle prints, you know it's probably going to go lower, and it does. It does give a nasty pullback, but then it goes. So yeah, these are the sorts of things I'm looking for at reversals. You can usually pick them by the size of the candles and how they start to get very wicky. Look at all these wicks that show up here at the top here before it rolls over and comes back down. So, and same thing down here. Comes down, makes a swing low, and look at all of these wicks here, and then boom. So yeah, I would just keep in mind when you're trying to take a kangaroo tail trade, especially on the lower time frames, or big shadow, or whatever kind of reversal, pay attention to the momentum going into that move. This had a lot of momentum. So I wouldn't want to mess with something like that. I hope this helps. I wish you happy trading, and we'll see you soon.